Gerald Muswagan. Gerald Muswagan was a Canadian man who had moved to America. In 2011, he bought a lottery ticket for just $2. To his surprise, he won a massive jackpot of $10 million. This huge prize had the potential to completely transform his life and secure his future for generations to come. However, as often happens when someone who has lived in poverty suddenly gains wealth, they live beyond their means. Gerald began living beyond his means too. He left behind his old life and adopted a lavish lifestyle. He purchased a massive mansion where he hosted extravagant parties every day, inviting over 100 people just to show off his wealth. His spending didn't stop there. He also bought 4 luxury cars and began wasting millions of dollars on a lifestyle he couldn't sustain. But since he had no source of ongoing income, the money quickly started to disappear. In his pursuit of impressing others, Gerald spent his entire wealth within just 1 year. Eventually, he ran out of money. He was forced to sell his mansion and take a job as a laborer just to survive. Deeply regretful of his reckless choices, Gerald found himself unable to find peace, haunted by the life he had lost and the opportunity he had wasted. Joey Antonio. Joey Antonio was a Mexican man living in Texas, a state in the United States. In 2012, he won $750,000 in the lottery, a life-changing amount of money. However, there was one major problem. Joey was an illegal immigrant who had entered the U.S. by crossing the border on a donkey. He had no legal documentation to prove his residency, which meant he couldn't legally claim the lottery prize. When Joey found out he had won such a large amount, he went to his employer, the man he worked for, and asked for a favor. He requested that his boss claim the prize on his behalf, with the understanding that once the money was received, it would be handed over to Joey. But when his boss realized how much money was at stake, greed took over. He accepted the ticket from Joey, but once he received the money, he refused to give anything back. Joey tried everything. He pleaded with his boss, argued, and even threatened him, but nothing worked. In desperation, Joey went to the police and reported what had happened. At first, the police listened to his story, but when they asked for his ID and ran a background check, they discovered that Joey was living in the country illegally. Instead of helping him get justice, the police arrested him for being an undocumented immigrant. Joey spent several years in jail and was eventually deported back to Mexico, losing not only his freedom, but also the fortune that was rightfully his. What could be more worse than this? Michael Carroll. Most people spend a lifetime working hard just to earn a decent living, but Michael Carroll was different. In November 2002, he won a lottery of $20 million at just 19 years old. With all that money, Michael bought a lavish mansion. But instead of investing wisely or securing his future, he indulged in bizarre and reckless habits. One of his strangest obsessions was buying luxury cars, just to destroy them in the backyard of his mansion. He found joy in chaos. Blinded by his wealth, Michael became arrogant and unstable. He got into fights with his wife and eventually kicked her and their children out of the house. His wild behavior only escalated. Within just a few months, half of his money was gone. But even then, he didn't stop his antics. Eventually, all his money was gone, and he became completely poor. The man who was once a multimillionaire is now penniless. Desperate and starving, Michael had no choice but to start working as a laborer to survive. The wife he had once thrown out of his house saw his harsh conditions and felt pity for him. Despite everything, she took him back and gave him shelter. Today, after spending millions, Michael Carroll lives off the kindness and support of the same woman he once abandoned, relying on her just to get by. Urooj Khan. This is the story of Urooj Khan, an Indian man who lived in Chicago, USA. He owned a successful luggage business and lived a fairly normal life. But in 2013, everything changed when he bought a lottery ticket and won $1 million. Back then, $1 million was considered a life-changing amount. Urooj was divorced from his first wife and had a daughter from that marriage. By the time he won the lottery, he was living with his second wife. Everything seemed to be going well until something truly shocking happened. Just before Urooj Khan could collect his lottery winnings, his wife called the police and claimed that Urooj had suddenly died of a heart attack. According to the rules, the lottery money was supposed to be divided between his wife and his daughter. But before anything could be processed, Urooj's brother gave a shocking statement to the police, accusing the family of murder. A post-mortem was carried out, and the results were disturbing. Urooj Khan hadn't died of natural causes. He had been poisoned. Someone had given him a substance that triggered a heart attack. To this day, no one has received the lottery money. The case remains open, and the question still haunts investigators. Who killed Urooj Khan? Lee Ryan. The story of Lee Ryan is both unbelievable and heartbreaking. Lee was actually a car thief, and in 1995, he was sentenced to 18 months in prison for his crimes. But while he was behind bars, something extraordinary happened. He found out that a lottery ticket he had bought before being arrested had won a jackpot of $6.5 million. Yes, Lee had hit the jackpot, but there was a problem, since he could not collect his money for 18 months. So he waited out his sentence, counting the days until freedom. When Lee was finally released, he received his winnings. He was shocked by the sheer amount of money now in his hands. And just like that, the former car thief became a millionaire overnight. At first, he lived the dream. Lee bought luxury cars, a helicopter, and even a private jet. But he wasn't careful with his fortune. He spent money faster than he could manage it. Soon, the cost of maintaining his lavish lifestyle caught up to him. In an attempt to turn things around, Lee invested in a fishing business, but that venture failed too. Slowly, his millions disappeared. Eventually, he was left with nothing. No food, no house, no money. Lee Ryan became homeless and spent 2 years sleeping on the streets. Finally, a kind-hearted company offered him a job as a cameraman, giving him a chance to start over. From stealing cars to owning jets, and then back to the streets. Lee's story is a powerful reminder. Money without wisdom is like water in your hands. It slips away fast. Imagine the regret he must live with every day. Justin Reiter. Meet Justin Reiter, a man from Canada, in 2015. His life changed overnight when he won a $600,000 lottery. After a life spent in poverty, this sudden windfall felt like a dream come true. Overcome with excitement, Justin couldn't control his happiness. But instead of saving or investing the money, Justin gave in to his wild desires. His first stop was a gold shop. He had always loved gold jewelry, and now, with money in hand, he bought it in bulk. As if that wasn't enough, he began spending lavishly on tattoos, covering his body in expensive ink just because he could. What followed was even stranger. Justin became obsessed with turning himself into a walking symbol of wealth. He paid thousands of dollars to have a special gold paint custom made, just so he could coat his teeth in gold and show off his shiny new smile. But Justin didn't realize the danger he was exposing himself to. After applying the paint and going to sleep, Justin never woke up. He died by the morning. In post-mortem, it was later confirmed the cause of death. Lead poisoning from the gold paint had killed him. The gold paint was mixed with lead, a highly toxic substance to the human body. Justin's story is a harsh reminder that money, when placed in the wrong hands or used without wisdom, can become a curse instead of a blessing. These were some of the unlucky lottery winners who lost all their money, so it's the end of the video. But there's another video that has even more fun. Trust me, it's interesting. Check out the video and see for yourself.